Hello, it's Nikki. I wanted in this video on this Tuesday where I talk about pricing and packaging your personal brand, I wanted to talk about setting some money goals for 2026. I am not a financial advisor. I am not an accountant, so I technically shouldn't be giving out money advice, but I am a qualified coach. And so I am very much approaching these questions with a sense that you can take this question and do what you want with it and take it in the direction that you want to. Almost how, I don't know, a fruit and veg shop might go. Here is an apple. You can eat it by itself, or you can slice it up and make an apple crumble, or whatever it might be. I just want to start the conversation, essentially, talking about money and really helping you to define what it is that you want, what your version of success is going to be. Because we all tend to work really hard and do all of the things. And so I want to make sure that you are getting that payoff for you. Number one, grab a piece of paper if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I want you to think about your goal. Now, the way that you approach this is entirely up to you. You can see it as a whole number for the entire year. You can make a goal for January to look at the first month of the year. You could do a quarter, 6 months, however you like to define it. Remember, this is about what feels good to you. You don't have to go and hand in your homework at the end of it. This is simply about you. One of the very basic questions I ask my clients, especially when they're building a personal brand and it can feel really open-ended, is, let me just give you some more light. It's so miserable in January today. Anyway, one of the very basic questions I give is, how much money do you want to make and how do you want to make it? And so when we're thinking about the money that you want to bring in this year, maybe that number for you is a turnover number. Maybe you want to think about it in terms of your take-home money. Maybe you want to think about reducing your hours, for example, but still making this kind of money. Maybe you want to change the way that you're working. So maybe in 2024, 2025, you were very front-facing. You were out and about in the world all the time, and you like to build something more passive so you don't have to leave your house as often. Who knows what that might be for you? When you're thinking about that amount, I want you to have it in the center of your page and just begin to pull it apart, because too often there is that sense of like, I'm going to be a 7-figure business owner this year. What does that mean? Or sometimes people introduce themselves as that, I'm a 7-figure business owner. What does that mean? Do you have £1 million in your bank account? Or do you have a turnover, but you've also spent £1 million or £2 million on ads? I don't know. This is about you getting really specific. Number two, I want you to remind yourself, even though you know this, that you are the common denominator. I think it's too easy to set goals in January where you're saying to yourself, okay, brand new me, I'm going to do this. I'm going to set big, scary goals. And I'm just going to be really abstract and a visionary and write all these things down. There are, and that's great, by the way, absolutely. I really believe that anyone can change at any time. You have so much more power than you think. And the now, you right now, is going to give you so many clues as to how you're going to get to that version. If you are operating in a way right now where you are scrimping and saving and hoping for the best, and like you really feel like you're doing a lot of work for very little money, and yet your big goal is, I want to be a 8-figure business owner and have a life of freedom and only work 2 hours a day, you have to acknowledge there is a gap there. The gap is not wrong. The gap is not insurmountable, but it is there. And so in order to move from you right now into you in the future, there needs to be a plan. There needs to be a strategy. There maybe needs to be an identity shift. And I think too often people skip over this bit, because to look at yourself and look at your bank account and look at what you're doing and have that self-awareness, sometimes that isn't cool and sexy. Sometimes that is hard and traumatic. And so if you can stay in that state a little bit longer and really get to know, okay, what is going on here? It's almost like if you were parenting a child. If you're saying to your child, I really need good behavior from you today, let's be on our best behavior. Sometimes your expectations are not in line with what's going on right now. You need to study where they are right now, what works, what doesn't, where they need help and support. It's exactly the same with us. Number 3, once you have your goal and once you have your method that you want to make, I want you to look at the framework of your personal brand, your capacity. So when I was 17 or 18, before I moved out of house, I did a summer working in Golden Wonder Crisp Factory, which was as horrendous as you might think. It was long, it was hot, it smelled of crisps, it was repetitive and boring, and no, I did not want to stay there. But seeing that visual of how a factory worked and how all of the component parts were really important to the final product, aka the crisps being boxed and ready to go to the shops, was so key. And what happens is so often people's business framework is reliant on that one person. And it's reliant on whether they're working in their business or not, whether they feel like it or not. That's not to say that you need to automate everything and take your whole personality away from your business, but you have to see it as a system. You have to see it as something that you know how it's operating and you know when and how it's being optimized. Number 4, I think we have to look at our identity, and maybe it's a case of sharpening it up, leveling up. There are moments where people might say, I want this and I want to do this, and this is the year that I want to do X, Y, and Z. And at the moment, that's great that they have those dreams, but at the moment they're not organized enough to make a meeting on time. And so how are they going to attract more of those? I've certainly noticed that in the acting industry over time, where people are like, just put me up for a big film audition. It's like, hang on a minute. You're not nailing the other things yet. Likewise with my kids, they're always pushing for that independence, and absolutely rightly so. But I want them to nail the basics first. If you want to go to that next level in your personal brand, we have to clean it up. Think about your kitchen when you embark on cooking something for dinner, for example. If all the breakfast stuff is still there, it's probably really difficult to be in that flow that you want to be. Start there. Clean up what's needed, what's not. Make sure it aligns with the direction that you're going in. Number 5. I want you to pay attention to the underlying niggles and ask yourself where you need support. It's so tempting just to say, I'll just do more of the same. There's going to be a point, a tipping point, where you cannot do that in the same way. So say, for example, if I was going to go to Brighton for the day, I could easily get on the bus and then get a train to Brighton. And I would be there probably in an hour and a half. I live in London. If I was then also going to take 6 children with me, like my 2 and 2 of their friends each, that is a different situation. There are different things to think about. It's still doing the trip to Brighton, but I need to account for other things. There are other moving parts. It's exactly the same with the growth of your personal brand. So I know you're not going to be able to predict everything right now, but start with what you can work on. And if you want help, come over to Create Your Income Pie. There are 3 ways to join, and there is a saving of 20% at the moment. Details down below.